Hello everyone. Now, we will learn about Java data types. First, let's understand what data types are. Programs need to handle various types of data. And for each type of data, there is a corresponding data type. Essentially, data types define the amount of memory space that needs to be allocated in the computer's memory to store data, and different data types require different memory sizes. In Java, data types can be categorized into three main groups: primitive data types, reference data types, and the null type. The primitive data types further divide into three categories: character types, numeric types, and Boolean types. The numeric types are divided into integer types and floating point types. There are four integer types: byte, short, int, and long. For floating point types, there are two: float and double. On the other hand, reference data types include classes, interfaces, and arrays. In this section, our main focus will be on the 8 primitive data types that fall under these three categories. First, let's understand the range of the 8 primitive data types that fall under the three main categories. We have four integer types: byte, short, int, and long. The memory allocation for these types is 1 byte, 2 bytes, 4 bytes, and 8 bytes, respectively. Their value ranges and memory sizes correspond from smallest to largest. The most commonly used integer type is int. Float double. For the two floating point types, float and double, the memory allocation is 4 bytes and 8 bytes, respectively. The most commonly used floating point type is double. Finally, character data type char occupies 2 bytes of memory. Next, let's learn about the three main categories of the 8 primitive data types. The first category is the character type. The character type refers to a single character enclosed in single quotes, and it uses Unicode encoding. One Unicode character occupies 2 bytes, allowing it to store a Chinese character. For example, we can define a character variable with as follows: char equals q. We can define a variable qr that contains a Chinese character. char qr 等于符。For special characters, we need to use escape characters to represent them. All escape characters begin with the backslash, which is the diagonal line from the top left to the bottom right. In our program code, both double quotes and single quotes have special meanings. If we want to directly output double quotes or single quotes, we can use the backslash followed by a double quote or a backslash followed by a single quote as escape sequences to represent these special symbols. The string type represents a sequence of characters enclosed in double quotes. Although the string type is not a primitive data type, we include it here since it is closely related to character types. In most cases, we need to store character values that are more than just single characters or Chinese characters, which is why we discuss strings along with character types. For example, string str 1等于欢迎. Its length is 5, since each Chinese character occupies 2 characters. Define a string variable as str2. Inside the double quotes is a space character. In this case, the length of the string is 1. When we define the variable as str3, inside the double quotes, there is nothing. This means it is an empty string, and its length is 0. If we define a variable as str4, and assign it the value null. It represents a null object, which means it doesn't point to any instance. The second category of basic data types is numeric types. Let's learn about integer types first. As mentioned before, there are 4 types of integer data types: long byte, short, int, and long. They store 8 bits, 16 bits, 32 bits, and 64 bits, respectively. The default values for these 4 integer types are all 0. Typically, we define integers as int type. Next, we'll learn about floating point types. As mentioned earlier, there are 2 types of floating point numbers: double float and double. They store 32 bits and 64 bits, respectively. The default value for both float and double is 0. We define floating point numbers as double type. The third category of basic data types is the Boolean type. The Boolean type has only 2 values, true and false. It's important to note that in Java, we cannot use 0 or 1 to represent Boolean values. Instead, we use the literal constants true and false, which are considered as keywords and cannot be used as variable names, method names, class names, constant names, or package names. Additionally, there is another category of data types not covered in the above 3 categories. We refer to it as the void type. The void type indicates that a method does not return any value. In reality, null is not a data type. It is a literal constant representing the absence of a value. It is used to signify that the value of a reference data type is empty. In this section, we mainly introduce the 3 categories with a total of 8 basic data types. We hope that after studying this section, you can achieve the following goals: understand the classification of Java data types, know the names of the basic data types, describe the ranges and default values of the 4 integer types in Java, understand Boolean type values. Thank you all. Write down the results of the following program execution.